Hi, I'm Saida Garrett, co-writer of Michael Jackson's Man in the Mirror, and you're listening to Rainbow Country with Mr. Mark Tara.
The views and opinions expressed on the following program are those of the persons appearing on the program.
Today on Rainbow Country, ex-pro rugby player Keegan Hirst joins me in conversation to talk about his 2015 coming out process that made him the first British professional rugby league footballer to come out as gay. That and so much more in episode 271, so stay tuned for Gay Talk Radio right here on Rainbow Country.
Hi, this is Carol Pope.
Hi, I'm Garrett Conley, author of Boy Erased, a memoir.
Hi, I'm Lorraine Segato.
Hi, I'm Gord Depp of the Spoons. You're listening to Rainbow Country with Mark Tara.
Well, hello and welcome to a brand new journey through Rainbow Country. As I like to call it, a little gay radio show working to give voice to the LGBT community and beyond. And as always, I am your tour guide through Rainbow Country. I'm producer and host, Mark Tara. By the way, Rainbow Country originates from CIUT-FM in Toronto, the sound of your city, and now proudly in syndication on 10 outlets across Canada. So whether you're listening in the Yukon, the Prairies, the East Coast of Canada, in the Maritimes, Ontario, even down to Buffalo, New York, and online. Thanks to you tuning in, streaming, downloading, but ultimately listening. Together, we continue to build Rainbow Country into a nationally syndicated gay radio show, a #1 LGBT podcast, and a top 100 LGBT podcast to follow. So today, former British professional rugby league footballer Keegan Hirst joins me to talk about his 2015 coming out process, which made him the first British professional rugby league footballer to come out as gay. We'll find out about his coming out process, his online one-on-one personal coaching service, PTIQ, as well as giving a car ride to Gandalf from Lord of the Rings. Plus, music from LGBT artists, independent artists, voices that we've come to know and love in classic disco, classic 80s, classic house, and on this episode I'm featuring some British 80s, Canadian calypso, and a 3-song gay music set. But up first, Rainbow Country contributor, long-term HIV survivor and activist, CJ talks about the importance of LGBT representation in comics.
I think it's really important that we as LGBTIQ folks see our representation everywhere. In movies, films, stories, and comics. It's crucial. That being said, it's interesting to note that while there have been few characters coming out on films, there have been a lot in the comics. Marvel, DC have, over the last number of years, have really started to add not just gay characters, but characters of all representation. Asexual, bisexual, pansexual, intersex. And this is important. This is crucial to our growth and our understanding that we exist and we are everywhere. If you want to find a list of everybody who is, I highly recommend you just Google it. Because I'm sure you'll find a character that interests you, their backstory. Some of them have not been filled out, but some of them have definitely come out and declared that they are a member of the LGBTIQ community. Others have come right out and stated it. I think, as I said, it's really interesting to note who have a lot of them have been people from minority or communities as well, which I think also adds a very interesting voice, considering how homophobic many minority communities can be towards LGBTQ. Some of the characters have gotten married. There's the angst. There's the challenge of being gay and coming out. There's the challenge of being real to themselves. All of these things, which I think really represent some of what we as LGBTIQ people have to go through. I'm not going to say list characters. I'm going to leave it up to you to go out and find them. But yeah, trust me, they are there, they are represented. And as we've seen in a lot of the more movies coming out, there are going to be far more characters as we go on. On that note, I want to say, enjoy, read, be yourself and find the characters that I think you'll enjoy in comics. This is CJ from Rainbow Country. Have a good day.
Bill 7. To ban discrimination in employment, government services, and housing based on a person's sexual orientation was up for a vote at Queen's Park. Most NDP and Liberal MPPs supported the bill, but without some progressive Conservative legislators' backing, a divisive split could rack the province. 4 PCs decided to break party ranks to vote with their conscience and support Bill 7. Cabinet Minister and MPP Dennis Timbrell did it to show solidarity for his beloved brother, the well-known drag queen Rusty Ryan. And for me, a gay politician who was not yet out, I had to take a stand. We were known as the Gang of Four. I'm former Cabinet Minister and MPP Phil Gillies. The date, December 2nd, 1986, when LGBT rights came to Ontario.
Hi, everybody. This is Gino Vanelli. You're listening to Rainbow Country with Mark Tara.
Up next, the man that became the first British professional rugby league footballer to come out as gay. Keegan Hirst.
How is the weather in Canada? Whereabouts are you?
I'm in Toronto.
Toronto.
I'm in.
I've got all my clients are in Ontario. I've got a couple of clients in Toronto. I've got a client in somewhere called Mississauga. Yeah. I know, because I know things are kind of reopening for you guys now, right?
Yes, correct. Keegan Hirst, hi, how are you?
I'm good, Mark. Thank you for having me. How are you?
I am well. I always say this to my guests, but thank you for being here. Thank you so much for being here, to have your voice, your story be heard by the LGBT community and beyond. So thank you for that. Let's start here.
No, I appreciate it.
Let's start here.
Sorry, I was just saying I appreciate you having me, mate. Sorry, I interrupted you.
Let's start here with you. We're living through some historic times. A global pandemic, COVID-19. You're in the UK. Whereabouts are you?
So I'm in the north of England, near a city called Leeds, not far from Manchester. I'm sure everybody's heard of Manchester. I'm about 50 minutes away from Manchester. So,
and what's the situation like there, where you are?
Life is pretty much... It's getting back to normal now. You can go in shops without a mask on if you don't want to. Travel is still a bit icky and a bit iffy, but by and large, it's pretty much back to normal. Some people talk about COVID, some people don't. Sometimes it's on the news, sometimes it's not. I mean, I think there's a general sense here that everybody's pretty fed up with it and wants to get on. I mean, most of us are vaccinated now, a double vaccinated. So I think there's a sense of, we've just got to learn to live with it and get on with it now.
Yeah, from your lips to God's ears. So the 2020 Tokyo Summer Olympics are now in the history books. You are a professional rugby player, a former professional rugby player. I'm interested to know, as an athlete, did you tune in at all to the Olympics?
Yeah, I did. I love the Olympics.
Me too.
I'm a big fan, mainly because it's full of things that I could never hope to do. So it's nice. It's seeing that accumulation of training and discipline and all people's hopes and dreams pinned on this time 5 years worth of training. And it was a weird, like, I would always watch the Olympics, and I mean, it was a weird one here with time differences with Tokyo. So it was actually live in the middle of the night here, but we get like summaries. I remember watching, I mean, obviously we all want to watch the men's gymnasts, but at this particular point I was watching the girls' gymnastics, and this girl did this amazing flip, and I don't know what it was. She landed it, and it just made me get really emotional, actually. I filled up, and I think it was just obviously thinking about all the effort and the work that has gone in for people to get there and for these Olympics to finally go ahead, and it kind of came over me, and I thought, God, what's happened to me? But yeah, I love the Olympics. I think they're an amazing spectacle.
You play rugby. Did you know, or do you know other rugby players that have been Olympians?
I don't know any rugby players. That's a very good question that I've never been asked before. I don't actually. I just had to think that. I don't know any rugby players that are Olympians. You see, usually the thing is, if you want to be an Olympian, you can't be a professional, so you can't get paid for it. So I think that and also the rugby that's at the Olympics is rugby union, and I played a different kind of rugby called rugby league, which I would say is better. But I might be biased. So no, unfortunately, I don't know any Olympians. I will have to make a mental note to add some to my phone book.
So you've been playing rugby professionally since, I believe, 2008, and in 2020 you retired. Why did you retire?
Yeah, I've been playing since God was a boy. I was coming to the end of I felt like I was coming to the end of my career anyway, just because I made my professional debut when I was 17. And it was all I'd ever known as an adult. And, as you can imagine, being any kind of athlete, there's a lot of commitment, giving up your time, your weekends, your evenings, your body, putting your body on the line. And after doing it for, 13, 14 years, professionally, not to mention, what I'd done previous as an amateur and things like that. I was a little bit disillusioned with it as well, to be honest. The game was going in a way that they used to talk about players' mental health, and they talked about player welfare, but they didn't actually do anything to make it better. There was a lot of lip service, and I really didn't like that. So I got a bit disillusioned with it, and then COVID hit, things got cancelled, and my plan was always to go back and do one more year, like a share return tour. Do you know what I mean? But I just, it got to a point where I thought I don't really want to go back. And I felt like I didn't have anything to prove with rugby anymore. I had achieved everything that I felt that I was good enough to achieve. I'd come out in the middle of my career. I'd done my bit there, and my kids were growing up, and I just thought I want to have my weekends with my kids and my partner, and I don't want to get beaten up anymore. There comes a point where it really starts to hurt, and I thought, actually, I don't want to go back to that. So so that was why, really.
Do you think you're done with professional rugby?
I would like to say yes. But what I would also say is that I've found it a lot more difficult than what I thought it would be to finish with the game, because it's been a big part of my identity. I played it since I was 11 years old. I grew up with it, watching it, playing it. A lot of my friends were rugby players. And you miss that sense of community, that sense of solidarity, that single your job is to turn up and win, but you're all in it together and you all look out for each other. And suddenly it leaves a big gap, which is part of the reason that I got into coaching like I did. But yeah, I don't know if I'm completely done with it. I feel like I have a bit of a difficult relationship with it at the minute. With, like I said, feeling a bit disillusioned about it. But who knows what the future holds? I'm still only 33.
Rugby, you just can't quit him.
Yeah.
So let's talk. Yeah. Let's talk about you going from being an athlete to entrepreneur. PTIQ, an online one-on-one personal coaching service. What does PTIQ do exactly? Talk to me about this.
PTIQ is basically my coaching program that I set up. It's all done online. And what I noticed when I came out was that, and I went through what I call my gay education, learning about gay culture, because it wasn't part of my culture when I was, in inverted commas, straight, when I was still in the closet. And it became really apparent to me very fast that not everything, that's over exaggeration, but most things to do with gay men were either based around drinking or sex. And, where did people go to talk about, wanting to develop themselves, whether that was their physique, their knowledge, their education, their just personal development in general. And it was always something that I was really passionate about. So I thought, do you know what? I'm gonna stick my head above the parapet here and create something that is aimed at gay men, with that. Because I do feel that we have we certainly do have a different lived experience to, other men. And I just felt like some people didn't feel that they were related to, and that people didn't understand them. So yeah, I created this PTIQ, and I called it PTIQ because I thought it was being really clever. And the idea was PT, training, and IQ, intelligence, quote, like be smart, so train smart. And I had a client of mine who said, "What does PTIQ stand for? Is it personal trainer is queer?" And I said, I wish it stood for that. I wish I'd have thought of that. So from now on, yes, that's what it stands for. But so it's become this, it's become this community that we have. And, it's not exclusively gay men. There's a few straight guys in there, but predominantly gay men, similar challenges, similar aspirations, similar goals. And we have a real, community. Everybody wants to support themselves. And, in this world of social media and curated lives, that it's really easy to look at your own life and think, God, I ain't got all that. I don't look like that. I don't have a partner that looks like that. I don't have a job that looks like that. My life's shit. And that's not real life. And I suppose what we've done as a community is like lifted the lid on that and just focused on us and feeling more comfortable in our own skin, whether that's through, looking the way you want to look, feeling the way you want to feel, or just growing as a person. So yeah, it's evolved and it has grown and continues to grow. We have a resident psychotherapist now, we have physio, we have a coaching team as well as me, and some incredible clients from across the world, guys in Canada, the States, Australia, the UK, Europe.
So who would you say is the perfect client for PTIQ?
Well, I would say that it's for gay guys between 30 and 60 who want to fulfill their potential, whether that's physically, whether that's their confidence, whether that's their mindset. People who know that they're worth more. What I find is it's people put everybody else above themselves. And don't leave any energy for themselves. And as I always say to the guys, self-care isn't selfish. So, it's geared for gay men 30 to 55, 60 years old who don't want to settle, who want to be the best version of themselves. And I know that sounds cliche, but it is a nice, succinct way of rounding it up.
Would you say part of PTIQ is life coaching? Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I mean, it's so much more than a training and nutrition program. It's because the thing with that is all the information to get in incredible shape is on the internet. If that's all it took, then I wouldn't be in a job, and neither would any other coach. And something I always say to the guys is, we all know a fat doctor, we all know a divorced marriage counsellor. Knowledge isn't enough. It's about building behaviors, habits. It's challenging our identity or what we perceive as our identity, building a new one, challenging our limiting beliefs, our thought patterns, our frameworks that we have in our own head, our blueprint for the world, challenging it, breaking it, remaking it how we want it so that we can live life on our terms. So, yeah, it is so much more than a training program, and I won't like to say a life coach, but I guess it is, in the sense of we have guys who come and they might be in toxic relationships, whether that's with themselves, whether that's with a partner, whether that's with a friend, whether that's at work, and they go for new jobs and they become more confident, and they create boundaries, they look after themselves more, and ultimately have a better quality of life. So yeah, it's not just about building a better body. It is about building a better life. Exactly that, mate.
You have an event coming up in November?
Yeah, we do. So we put on, we something like I pride myself on is giving the guys the tools to be able to maintain it. I feel like the fitness industry makes a lot of money off people who don't know what they're doing and like hoards the information like it's gold and doesn't want to give it away. And a lot of people have a personal trainer and they work with them for a few years and then they leave and they actually haven't learned anything. So a big thing for me is education, and that's, we have a membership site, like with resources on there so guys can educate themselves on training, nutrition, mobility, mindset, lifestyle, building habits, everything. And we get speakers in, and like I say, we have clients across the world. So we put big events on, like virtual events. We had one in February, we had one in June, and we always have a social afterwards after we've, the guys have extracted all the value out of it. I mean, we had a friend of mine who's a drag queen did an amazing show for the guys on Zoom. I mean, we were in lockdown, but yeah, it was incredible. So in November, we've actually got a live in-person event where, PTIQ members are going to get together, have a day with some amazing coaches, taking a load of valuable, information, be able to plug and play that into their own lives. And then we're doing it in Manchester so we can have a social, and then we can go up Canal Street together. And like I say, it's a community, and it's a community where everybody wants to improve and look after each other. So yeah, November is going to be incredible.
Sounds like fun.
Yeah, it will be. It will be lots of fun. Lots and lots of fun.
And on that note, we will return after this Rainbow Country update.
Hi, I'm writer Adam Smith, author of Deep Sniff, A History of Poppers and Queer Futures. You're listening to Rainbow Country with Mark Tara.
The Imaginative Film and Media Arts Festival the world's largest presenter of Indigenous screen content, runs October 19th to the 24th, in person and virtually. There's a number of LGBTQ2S+ content at the 2021 Imaginative, including a number of short films, music videos, and so much more. Here's a synopsis of one of the films that's part of this year's festival. A Drive to Top Surgery. We ride as a fly on the rearview mirror with a young trans person and their family as they make the drive from their home to surgery. The Imaginative Film and Media Arts Festival, the world's largest presenter of Indigenous screen content, runs October 19th to the 24th, in person and virtually. So wherever you are in Canada, you can be part. For more information, festival.imaginenative.org.
Hi, I'm Cameron Bailey, Artistic Director and Co-Head of TIFF, the Toronto International Film Festival. You're listening to Rainbow Country with Mark Tara.
So you are an athlete, a professional athlete, an entrepreneur. You also happen to be gay. You came out in your late 20s, but you've been on record saying that you didn't necessarily believe you were gay because you didn't see anyone that looked like you. You're now, 6'4", like over 200 pounds, and you didn't see anyone that looked like you, so therefore you couldn't be gay. So here's the question. Who, when you were growing up, when you were coming of age, who did you see that was gay? That made you say, aha, they're gay. I don't look like that. So therefore, I'm not gay. I can't be gay, even though I have these feelings. Who did you see as being gay growing up?
Yeah, so, the only people that I knew of that were gay were people like Elton John and Freddie Mercury, George Michael, who were all singers, which I certainly am not. I didn't sound like me, didn't look like me, didn't dress like me. It's funny how we rationalize things when we're growing up or when we're in denial, right? And there just wasn't that representation that, we've certainly got better at it now, but yeah, growing up, there was no one that I felt that I could relate to, and a kid's mentality. Therefore, I can't be gay. This must be something that's going to go away.
You tried to make it go away. Essentially, I did. When growing up, when did you begin to recognize your same-sex attraction? When did that start happening for you?
So I think that hindsight's a wonderful thing, right? So I think looking back, 12, 13, I was thinking that, I fancied other lads, other boys. But no one was talking about it. So I thought, well, maybe people are thinking it and we're not talking about it. Or maybe I'll just join in with what everybody else is doing, which is getting a girlfriend. And so I just went along with that. And it wasn't until I was, a little bit older, 15, 16, where I realized that actually other people weren't having these feelings. But I just hoped that at the time, I hoped that they would go away. I didn't, like I said, how could I be gay? There wasn't anybody like me. I was a rugby player. There weren't any gay rugby players. There weren't really any gay sportsmen then, there wasn't we talked about the Olympics earlier. I think there was 169 out Olympians this year, which is incredible, but there certainly wasn't that in, the 90s when I was growing up. God, that makes me feel old. So I did, and where I grew up in the north of England, very local town for local people. Everybody knew everybody's business. You grew up, you got a job, you had a family, you got married, you had kids. Everybody worked in the local town, and that's what you did. It was very small-minded, small aspirations, no ambitions, no diversity. There was, if anybody moved in who had a different colour skin, then they were suspicious. If any moved in with, different ideas or fancy ideas about anything that was out of the norm, then, they were not necessarily not welcomed, but they were certainly seen as different, as outsiders. And, no kid wants to grow up to be that, right? So, so I tried to explain it away. I tried to bury it. I tried to make it go away, and, ultimately ended up getting married and having kids, trying to make it go away so much and hoping that it would do. But as I'm a raving homosexual, it didn't.
So this next question I'm going to ask you, and I'm not sure if this sounds weird to say, if you'll be able to answer it, but you're 6'4", you're 230, 40, 50 pounds or something. Why didn't you think someone that looked like you, 6'4", 200 plus pounds, could be gay? Why didn't you think that? Because you didn't see it?
Yeah, I think so. And I think also because I didn't want to be as well. I think there was a lot of denial in there. And I think, for me, like the town that I grew up in, there was no, as far as I was aware as a kid, there were no gay people. So, gay people were from London. It was like, and as ridiculous as that sounds,
and they looked like Elton John and
they looked like Elton
more
John
effeminate type people.
Yeah, and they, high kicked up the street and had feather boas on, and which is, obviously ridiculous because we come in all shapes and sizes and flavors. But at that time, because of that lack of representation, because of that not knowing that there were different flavors of being gay, I just thought, that's gay. I'm not that. Mm-hmm. Ergo, I'm not gay.
I'm not gay. Isn't it interesting that here you are now, and maybe someone who's coming up, who's a teenager, maybe even now coming of age, who might have the same stature as you physically, can look at you and say, hey, he looks like me and I have those feelings too. Yeah. It's interesting. Yeah, representation does matter.
It really does matter, and it is important, and it is just to know, we all like to think that we like to be the first, and we like to challenge the status quo, and we like to be different. And, maybe we do, certainly as we get older. But when we're younger, we just want to fit in. We just want to be accepted. We all, as human beings, want to be accepted for who we are, what we are. It's why we look so hard for our tribe, right? For people like us, where we're understood, where we are accepted for ourselves. And, when you look, and you've got to remember at this point, there wasn't the internet, there wasn't social media. Even I suppose it's a little bit easy now. You can put in a Google search and join a Facebook group or something. Whereas then it was, if you didn't see it on TV, and in my house there were literally 5 channels on TV. Yeah. So if it wasn't on there, then
it didn't exist.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So you end up suppressing your true identity, your true sexuality. You get into a relationship with a woman. You end up getting married. Married for, I believe, 8 years. You have 2 kids, 1 boy, 1 girl. You're a dad by the age of 20. Why did you get married?
That was, getting married was the norm. It was kind of, we were told, where I grew up, getting married was the aspiration. If you could hold down a job, get married, have some kids, and support those kids and go on holiday once a year, then you were a success and you'd made it. And that's what everybody should aim for. It was, you know, conformity. And I mean, the thing with conformity is everybody likes you except yourself, right? And yeah, so that was what you should do. I mean, I got married. I got with my ex-wife. I was 19 years old. We'd only been seeing each other a few months, and she was pregnant. My dad was never around when I grew up, and I thought, God, I don't want, you know, she said she wanted to keep the baby, and I didn't want to, I didn't want that kid to go through what I'd gone through with my dad not being around. So, you know, I thought that was the right thing to do. I thought these feelings, I could just ignore them. They would go away. And you know, you get busy bringing a kid up, sorting a house out, trying to build your career as a rugby player. You know, you can sort of put it to the back of your head, and then every so often it would come to the fore.
And is that really the essence of why you got married? Because you wanted to conform, you wanted to suppress your true sexuality? Is that really the essence of why you think you got married?
I think more the reason that I wanted to get married was because my ex-wife wanted to get married. That was what she wanted. And I didn't see another way my life was going to go. At that point, there was never, I was never going to accept that I was gay. I was never going to come out. I was just going to carry on. This was my life, and this is what I was going to live. I was going to put up, and I was going to shut up, and I was going to get on with it. So I might as well give her what she wanted, and she wanted to get married and live that, you know, that aspirational, in inverted, you know, in air quotes, life. So that you know, I got married because I went with the flow of things, and didn't think about, like I say, I never thought at the time I got married that I would ever come out, that I would ever not. I thought I was going to be married and that was it. You know, I did go into it thinking it would be for life, and it was only when, you know, years later, after suppressing my sexuality and just being so filled with guilt and shame, that, you know, I mean, it got to a point where I was drinking regularly, I was taking drugs, I was stay out of the house, I was training loads, drinking loads. God knows how I didn't have a heart attack. You know, because I just wanted to escape my own head, and that was, you know, it's well documented, and I spoke about it before. That was when I thought, there's no way out of this for me. So it's either continue like this, which I don't want to do, or, you know, and that was when I considered suicide. So it wasn't a nice, I'd backed myself into a corner essentially. And it wasn't a nice position for anybody. You know, I wasn't a good husband. I wasn't a good dad. I wasn't present. I didn't like myself. So how anybody else did, I honestly don't know when I look back.
How are you as being a gay dad?
Oh, I mean, now I have an incredible relationship with my kids. We have, my daughter is 13. I mean, we watch RuPaul together. She, you know, the kids, we have an amazing relationship. They ask questions. I answer, you know, age specific. You know, when I came out, my son was 3 years old. I've come out to my son about 10 times. Are you still gay, Dad? You know, Dad, are you still gay? You know, you understand, like, he's 9 now, so they get it, and they, you know, I'm so much happier in my own skin, and that, you know, that transfers into how I, you know, my mood, my energy. I'm present when I'm with the kids. You know, I might not be in the house as much as, I might not spend as much time with them as I did when I was, you know, living with their mum, but ultimately the quality of the time that I do spend with them now is a million times better. And I mean, I still have them 3 nights a week, so I still see them plenty. So I'm very lucky that I get to see my kids so much, that we have such a good relationship, and that they're, you know, they're happy that their kids are just happy that their parents are happy, right? So yeah, an amazing relationship with the kids, and my daughter's at her age now where all her friends think it's really cool that she's got a gay dad, so it's nice to be a cool dad.
So let's talk about you and your coming out story, or maybe your coming out stories. My understanding is maybe this is when you first really truly came out. You had played a game. Some of your teammates and yourself, I believe, ended up going back to your place for drinks. At one point, one of your teammates says to you, are these rumors true? Are you gay? And you basically said yes. So here's the question. Those rumors about you being gay that your teammates may have heard about, how did those rumors get started?
Yeah, so me and my wife had separated. Like I said, the relationship had just become untenable. So I'd moved out, and I was starting to come to terms with the fact that I was gay. You know, it was something that I was now thinking, all right, well, maybe this is why you've been behaving like you have. You know, all this escapism, and now you don't have to pretend anymore. You're not. I wasn't with her anymore, and there was this separation, and it gave me a sense of perspective that, okay, this is what this is. Let's explore that. And going into Leeds, which is, like I said, the city near me, there's a few gay bars there, and as you said, I'm 6'4", 230, 240 pounds, depends what time of year we're talking, and I'd gone into, a gay bar, and I remember the bouncer stopping me on the door and asking me if I knew it was a gay bar. I was like, yes, please let me in before somebody sees. Obviously, somebody did see. And then it just, they just said, oh, somebody said they saw you in, it's called, one of the gay bars in Leeds called Viaduct. Someone said they saw you, and I don't know what you mean. And then obviously, I mean, that was it then in rugby, then all sorts of rumours started flying around off the back of that, just because I denied it. They were a joke at the time, but it just made me think, oh my God. And so, we'd been out for a drink after a game. We'd been to the pub. It was a Sunday night, so it closed early. We went back and had a few beers at my house, and they obviously got a bit of Dutch courage, and one of the lads said, what is it about these rumours, Keegs? Thinking it was a joke, and I was going to say, yeah, it's all a joke. I don't know where it's come from. And I remember, even though it was a split second, I remember thinking, do I deny it? Do I tell them? What do I do? Deny, or do I just, go for it and see what happens? And I just thought, do you know what? There you go. And I just said, yeah. And I said, yeah, it's true. I'm gay. No, I didn't say I'm gay, because it took me a long time to be able to say that. I said, yeah, the rumours are true, yeah. And one of my friends who was there, who was a big hard rugby player, just started crying. And I said, why are you crying? And he said, I'm just really sorry you've had to go through this on your own. And so it was very sweet. The guys were, incredible.
It's such a powerful moment.
Yeah. It was really, it was a really nice moment that we had. He's a good friend of mine. And not that it was I didn't think that his acceptance, they wouldn't accept it, but just for him to be so, emotional about it and open about it, it was a really, really sweet thing. And, the rest of the lads, the club, the chairman, the coach, they were all incredibly supportive.
You ended up coming out to your ex-wife and I believe your sister?
Yeah, I figured I needed to tell my ex-wife. So I went and told her, which was a very surreal conversation. I mean, shock, she was okay with it. And then as I left and the dust settled, understandably she was angry, confused, frustrated. I then told my mum, My mum lives abroad in Gran Canaria, which is ironic because it's like the European capital of the gays. And she was not happy about it. I was a liar. I disappointed her. And I mean, this, Mark, we just spoke about that, that sense of what it looks like to be gay. My mum, I remember, I'll never forget it. My mum said, she kept saying, "You're joking, stop joking." And I said, "I'm not joking, I'm being serious." And she said, "You're 6'4", how can you be gay?" Which is preposterous in itself. But, that was the kind of thing that I guess I was growing up with.
That's what you were thinking.
Yeah, exactly. So that was where, at least where it came from. Mm-hmm. So we didn't speak properly. And then we ended up having a big argument. I didn't speak to my mum for about 5 years.
And how are things today?
Yeah, good now, really good. Mm-hmm. She's mellowed a lot, and if you give people a chance to change and come round and know that, I don't know if she expected me to pretend that it wasn't the case or whatever, but, I held my ground and I wasn't in the wrong. And ultimately people, well, they either come round or they don't. And if something I always say, if someone's got a problem, it's their problem. So yeah, she's obviously worked through it, and yeah, we have a good relationship now. Well, certainly a better one. Yeah.
So let's talk about you still coming out, because you did an interview with the Sunday Mirror, and that interview, you came out in that interview, and that interview went viral. You were on all these TV shows there in the UK. But talk to me about getting a phone call from this world famous British artist, and you know who I'm talking about, who called you from Nice.
I do, yeah. So I come out, friends and family, rugby team, everybody knew. And then the press had got hold of it and they were going to run a story. And I remember my coach rang me and said, it'd probably be a good idea for you to do the interview so it's done on your terms rather than them just running a story. You're going through a divorce and there's kids and da-da-da-da-da. So I went and I sat down with them. The interview came out, as you say, in the Mirror, and it was, the reaction was huge. I had messages and phone calls from people all over the world, from famous people. It was, ridiculous. And I had a missed call the next day, and I just thought, I don't know why I thought I'm going to ring that number back. And it came up, it said Nice. Well, I read it as nice, and I thought, where's nice? And realised it was French. So I rung back, a French guy answered. I said, I've just had a missed call from this number. He asked, who is it? I said, it's Keegan Hirst. And then he said, 2 minutes. And then I heard it kind of click over to another line, and it said, and it was a man on the other end, and he said, "Hi, Keegan, Elton here. I just wanted to let you know, me and David think you're absolutely fabulous. We've read your story, da-da-da-da-da." Yeah, so Elton John, who I thought, I'm not like him. I mean, the irony. I
know.
The irony. And we had a good chat for a good 10 minutes or so. And we've stayed in contact ever since. We email, every couple of months or so. Met him a couple of times, and yeah, really, really lovely man, really supportive, really. I mean, he's the headmistress for a reason. So yeah, really nice man. Ian McKellen was incredible. Anthony Cotton. I know over in Canada you guys love Coronation Street. Anthony Cotton became a real good friend of mine, who's Sean in Coronation Street. It was a very, Emma Watson messaging me was very surreal. So yeah, it was, it was it was, just a very surreal time.
Yeah, getting a phone call from Nice. Who knew?
Yeah, Nice. What a lovely place.
Growing up, did you want to be a wizard?
When I was about 5, my mum asked me what I wanted to be when I grew up, and I said a wizard.
So talk to me about you giving a car ride to Gandalf.
You've done your research here, Mark. Well done. So as I said, I had so many messages from people, and Anthony Cotton was one of those. And Anthony was really, really sweet, said, you're going to have lots of people messaging you. And I know this isn't your world kind of thing. And if you need a friend, I don't want anything from you, but I'm happy to help if I can. So I thought that was very sweet. And he invited me for dinner. And this was going to be the Friday night, and Manchester Pride was on the Saturday. And he said, do you want to come for dinner? A good friend of mine is coming up, Ian McKellen, and he'd love to meet you as well. So, I was a massive Lord of the Rings fan, comic book geek, X-Men and everything. So I was, I'm going. So I drove, like I say, I live about 15 minutes away from Manchester. And those guys had been in Manchester doing stuff for Pride. And we got to this nice little restaurant, had some food. Those guys had a drink. And it came to the end of the night, and they invited me to come to Pride the next day, which I said I would do. And they were waiting for a taxi home. And I just had a little Peugeot at the time, a little grey Peugeot. And I said, well, I'm driving, I can drop you off. It's not a problem. So they said that, that's very kind of you. And Ian got in the front, so I had Gandalf in the front, I had Sean from Coronation Street in the back, and I had Anthony's other half, Peter, in the back as well, and their friend Joe. And Ian had just finished he'd just finished filming Beauty and the Beast. He's does the voice of Cogsworth, the clock, and he kept talking about how he was fuming that he didn't have his own song. And then it just weirdly broke into singing Beauty and the Beast songs in the car on the way home with Gandalf and Sean from Coronation Street. So I was driving thinking, what is my life right now? But it was very sweet, and they were both lovely. It was a really lovely memory.
Mm-hmm. Before I let you go, I have 3 quick questions. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. Day or night?
Day.
Red or white?
White. Minced
pie with clotted cream or Cooking with Paris on Netflix?
Cooking with Paris.
Okay.
Comedy genius.
Keegan Hirst, thank you so much for your time. Thanks for being on the show.
Thank you for having me, Matt. Really appreciate it.
By the way, to find out even more about Keegan Hirst, as well as his coaching program, PTIQ, check him out on Instagram at Keegan Hirst.
Hi, I'm songwriter and producer Jim Valance, and you are listening to Rainbow Country with Mark Tara.
Hi, my name is Joanne Vanicola, and I'm an actor and a writer, and I was first on Rainbow Country with Mark Tara on discussing the massacre at Pulse Club in Orlando. I realized how important it was for our community to have a radio station, specifically for our issues, to talk about people in the LGBTQ community and to provide an outlet for our stories, to discuss our politics, culture, and give voice to the issues that matter to us, and of course our artists and the things that we do globally. And and talk about culture. And without people like Mark Tara providing a space for this with a radio show like this, then we wouldn't have that voice. So support, tune in. Thank you.
Hi, this is Police Constable Danielle Botno, also known as LGBT Cop, and you're listening to Rainbow Country with Mark Tara.
And just like that, this little gay journey through Rainbow Country has come to an end. For the full 2-hour episode, head over to marktara.com, where everything is connected, and hit the archives banner. To keep up to date with the show, follow me on socials at Mark Tara Music. The podcast is available on all major platforms, including audible.com. Finally, I want to take this time to thank you for taking your time to be with me. Remember, stay well, stay strong, and stay safe.